Now, there's something knowingly tabloid-esque about this story, and normally I balk at the tabloid-esque and I recoil away from it, but there doesn't seem to be a way around it without mentioning this story in this context, and so I apologize for the tabloid-esque aspect of what I'm reporting on. And the purpose of this video is not some profound analysis or exposition, but rather a potent and forceful reminder of the reality of our time. I am, of course, talking about the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie divorce. Now, for it seems now time immemorial, the couple had been referred to as Brangelina, a symbiotic unit, a singular creature, a singular being. And their marriage was famous, not least of which for their strange practices regarding children and reproduction, adopting children from far-flung corners of the world, and then reproducing biologically and mixing them all up. And very bizarre stuff overall, but hey, none of my business. Now, it had long been suspected that there were problems in the marriage, and after all, what marriage does not have problems in it? The problem now, however, of course, is that the marriage is more or less over. So divorce, of course, can be bad enough, but this isn't just about divorce. Many of you might have heard that Brad Pitt has been accused, and I would assume falsely, but we don't have the evidence yet, one way or another, of having hit the children, that is, engaged in child abuse, allegations. And indeed, the FBI, and links in the low bar, as usual, referencing this, the FBI is investigating this as well. Now, it's not clear exactly what happened. If Angelina Jolie flew off the hinges, her hinges flew off of her, or a combination of the two, who knows? But it's been clear for a long time that she wasn't exactly the most stable of people. You often got hints of this. But there's, I think, a really profound lesson to be learned here. Now, for the longest period of time, Brad Pitt, in many circles, had long been regarded as sort of the quintessential male. You know, he certainly had the looks for most of his life, still does for the most part, give or take. He has the money, the fame. I mean, the kind of man that women swoon at and fall at their feet and drop on their knees to perform fellatio, that sort of thing. And, of course, he settled down to become a family man. And he has all of these attributes, and he is the status symbol, I think, to this day in many people's eyes, many women's eyes. And Jennifer Aniston, even, in fact, is delighted at the divorce, schadenfreude. I mean, she still resents him to this day, years after their own split up. So what am I talking about here? The point I'm trying to make is you can't alpha the system. It doesn't matter how powerful you are, how famous you are, how desired you are. Things like this can happen to you. And in some sense, it is possibly worse for him than it would be for your average Joe Schmo. Why do I say that? Because, having received, Brad Pitt now, having received allegations of child abuse, that's very, very serious. We're talking about physically attacking, beating children, minors. This, if this actually happened, would be dreadful and a horrible crime. I seriously doubt it did. And it just seems to be the typical line that so many women take when they say, well, I resent him for whatever, and I want to get back at him, so I'm going to hurl these accusations at him. And the world, of course, sits back, but they also take note. They observe, but they take note, and they're inclined to believe him. Supposedly he was intoxicated. Who knows the exact details? I don't think any of us will ever know unless some grand revelation is presented to the world. I'm not particularly interested in this sort of tabloid-esque stuff, as I said at the beginning. But the point of the making here is that nobody is immune to this. Years ago, I made a video, which ironically is my most popular video, on the Cesar Millan divorce, how living in this blue pill state of ignorance can often lead to disaster, particularly when you're wealthy or famous or a combination of the two. And we see this time and again. Elon Musk, one of the most brilliant people alive, one of the wealthiest people alive. His wife has tried many times to take him for as much as ex-wife. Wives, I think he has multiple. I've lost track. all they can get, and it's just incredible. Of course, they have no appreciation for the work that he does, but they don't really care. And this is this myth that persists to this day. If you're somehow alpha or fall into this traditional paradigm, that you will be able to hold your wife to account, and she will not do things like this and not accuse you. I mean, one could imagine that he will receive fewer offers in the future regarding Hollywood work or film work, and regardless of the veracity of the claims and the accusations, his reputation now has been tarnished. I mean, I think there's only a few accusations worse than child abuse. We're going to get sexual abuse of children and maybe rape. I mean, beating children is generally not something anyone wants to be associated with, and that is just not a good thing to have on your record for your CV or your resume. And it reminds us all of why those of us who choose to not get married do so. I mean, I've talked about this many times. I mean, MGTOW-related subject here. I don't go my own way. I don't do the MGTOW thing because I'm fearful of the reality of marriage and the dangers of divorce. I never had any interest in marriage. But there are plenty of men who would entertain that idea, but they think it's too risky. And this just reinforces this over and over again. And of course, you have these idiots in the PUA community claiming, well, if you have enough game, this can happen. And of course, I'm almost 100% sure that would say, well, Brad Pitt didn't have game. I mean, he's handsome, he's famous, he's wealthy, but that doesn't mean he has game. I mean, how is he going to game his wife? So it's just patently absurd. And I think we all need to be aware of this going forward. And sometimes we need these reminders because, frankly speaking, it's easy to forget. I remember years ago, Barbarossa produced a video in reference to Kobe Bryant, I believe, in a similar vein. The idea that, here was this alpha guy, but still getting screwed over by his wife. The system will not work with you, and I don't think it will work in the foreseeable future. But if you want to get married, by all means do so. Just be aware of those risks. And I genuinely feel sorry for Brad Pitt because he seems like an okay guy. A lot of people hate on him. I think he's a pretty decent actor. He's had some interesting roles, and he seems like an okay guy. And, for what it's worth, he seems like an okay father. I think on a personal level as well, it must be very hurtful towards him to think that he's been, in all likelihood, falsely accused of doing something that's considered one of the most heinous acts you can commit. And it must be very painful and emotionally just tearing him apart right now. And so, it never ceases to amaze, really. At the same time, you get used to it. I mean, this is par for the course, isn't it, gentlemen? It's always, accused of abuse of XYZ, physical abuse, sexual abuse, rape. This is the state of affairs. This is the culture we live in. And I'm happy that I will never be subjected to that. But it just goes to show no one is immune here. And every time this happens, it should all remind us, those of us who've chosen to go our own way for the sake of our own sanity and just because of risks like this. And in this sense, I'm very much MGTOW. I mean, this is MGTOW basics, right? But sometimes we really need to be reminded of these 101 basics. And I mean, it doesn't get any better, and I'm not using this in a positive sense, but it doesn't get any better than this. Brad Pitt divorced by Angelina Jolie, fine, all fair and well, all fair and good, whatever. Now being accused of abusing his children. And no doubt there will be a lengthy court proceeding, and no one's going to have fun there. Well, maybe Angelina Jolie will have fun cackling and what have you, but doesn't seem to be the case. So, I don't know. It's, I guess this is just a potent reminder to us all of why we do the things we do and why we decide to go our own way. Anyway, I didn't want to draw this out too long, but be aware, take care, and as customarily, the message, may the gods watch over you. Probably won't see you until the beginning of next month because next week is going to be busy and I won't even be in my own place. So everyone, bye-bye. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.